Hi, students. So this week we're doing a Kaylee. So the idea here is a Kaylee is a gathering where people share poetry and song and play music. It is a great way of building community. Obviously, we can't get together and eat and drink together the way we normally would, but hopefully this will give a little bit more of a sense of community to our class, but which is sorely needed in pandemic times. But also, since Irish poetry and song was so critical to um, the sort of the process of revolution there and the language and the conversations around it, this is why we spend a week on this material. So I'm actually going to go ahead and kick things off and sing something for you. I don't have a great voice, but it's not about having a great voice. So this song is called Kilkelly, Ireland. It's based on true stories. You don't have to listen to me singing it. If you would like, you can go to YouTube, and if you put in Kilkelly, Ireland, you'll hear a great recording by Robbie O'Connell and Finbar Clancy. So feel free to turn this off and go listen to them instead. But I'm going to go ahead and sing it for you anyway. All right, ready? Kilkelly, Ireland, 1860, my dear and loving son John. Your good friend, the schoolmaster, Pat McNamara's so good as to write these words down. Oh, and I should have said, the advantage to listening to me sing it is that I'm going to annotate it as I go. So right here, one of the things that this is already bringing out is that the person who's sending the letters is illiterate. He has to ask the schoolmaster to write him. And when we talk to write the letter for him, and when we talk about, the way the colonizers justified colonization, often a lot of what they pointed to is they would say, these people are stupid, they can't even read or write. It's not that they're stupid, it's that they are generally kept uneducated. But or they're too poor and they have to send all the kids to work in the fields and can't send them to school. Or school costs too much, all of the above. Okay, so, but the song starts with that. Okay, I've got to get this thing again. Kilkelly, Ireland, 1860, my dear and loving son John. Your good friend, the schoolmaster, Pat McNamara's so good as to write these words down. Your brothers have all gone to find work in England. The house is so empty and sad. The crop of potatoes is sorely infected, a third to a half of them bad. And your sister Bridget and Patrick O'Donnell are going to be married in June. Your mother says not to work on the railroad. Be sure to come on home soon. So here, there's a reference to the crop of potatoes being sorely infected. This is the famous Irish potato blight. Many people died of famine at this point. And the sort of most brutal thing about it was most of them didn't need to die. So if you're interested in learning more about how England acted during the Great Irish Famine, go and Google it. There's a lot of information that is quite horrifying. Okay. They also reference here, your mom says not to work on the railroad. So John has gone off to America to find work. There's no jobs in Ireland right now. So a lot of the young men are leaving to try and find work. And in America, jobs on the railroad are dangerous. People often died. There were, they had to do things like, blow holes in mountains to make paths for the roads, for the railroad to go through. So that's the kind of thing that you could get killed doing. But of course, the young men would take those jobs because they were easy to get and they paid well. And they often didn't have a lot of other options, especially as an immigrant. So, okay, next verse. And I'm not going to have this much commentary on every single verse. 10 years later, Kilkelly, Ireland, 1870, dear and loving son John. Hello to your missus and to your 4 children. May they grow up healthy and strong. Michael has got in a wee bit of trouble. I guess that he never will learn. Because of the dampness, there's no turf to speak of, and now we've nothing to burn. And Bridget is happy you named a child for her. Now she's got 6 of her own. You say you found work, but you don't say what kind or when you'll be coming home. So John is married, he's had 4 kids, his sister Bridget has had 6 kids. Michael has gotten a wee bit of trouble. I think that's a reference to he's gotten caught up with the Irish Revolutionary Army, the IRA. When you refer to the Troubles in Ireland, that's what you're sort of referring to, are those conflicts. And then because of the dampness, there's no turf to speak of. The weather also kind of was against them at times, right? So they're cold, they're hungry, their children are fighting, they're Catholic, so they can't use birth control, they are having a lot of babies that they can't feed. All right, 10 more years later. Kilkelly, Ireland, 1880, dear Michael and John, my sons. I'm sorry to give you the very sad news that your dear old mother has gone. We buried her down at the church in Kilkelly. Your brothers and Bridget were there. You don't have to worry, she died very quickly. Remember her in your prayers. And it's so good to hear that Michael's returning with money he's sure to buy land. For the crop has been poor and the people are selling at any price that they can. So here in this stanza, the main thing I'd point out is that this is, again, one of the consequences of colonialism, the way Ireland's economy was destroyed. So John and then Michael went off to America to find work. At least Michael is no longer involved in the fighting. His dad's probably relieved about that. Except now Michael's returning with money. As a result of all this, they weren't there when their mom died, right? And they only heard about it probably months later on a letter that came on a boat, right? And things are not doing well in Ireland. The crop's been poor. The people are selling at any price that they can. So again, as a result of colonialism, people are getting poorer and poorer in Ireland. Kilkelly, Ireland, 1890, my dear and loving son John. I guess I must be close on to 80. It's 30 years since you've gone. Because of all of the money you send me, I'm still living out on my own. Michael has built himself a fine house, and Bridget's daughters have grown. Thank you for sending your family picture. They're lovely young women and men. You say you might even come for a visit. What joy to see you again. And so this stanza, I've always start getting a little teary at this point of the song. This stanza, he hasn't seen his son in 30 years. And, Michael's been able to come back. Bridget's children are grown up. But really, what the dad cares about the most is that he hasn't seen his son again, right? And John's saying he might even come for a visit. Now things are a little, they have more money, et cetera, so on. So he's saying, I'm going to try and come. Next stanza is only 2 years later. And this is the last stanza. Kilkelly, Ireland, 1892, my dear brother John. I'm sorry that I didn't write sooner to tell you that father passed on. He was living with Bridget. She says he was cheerful and healthy right down to the end. Ah, you should have seen him play with the grandchildren of Pat McNamara, your friend. We buried him alongside of mother down at the Kilkelly churchyard. He was a strong and a feisty old man, considering his life was so hard. It's funny the way he kept talking about you. He called for you in the end. Why don't you think about coming to visit? We'd love to see you again. That's it. That's Michael wrote the last letter to him. So Kilkelly, Ireland, super sad song. I hope this gives you a little bit of insight into life in Ireland during the famine and the start of the Troubles. Thanks.